Okay, here we are with another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What's up, guys?
So after our amazing 21 episode Brantsteele series, we've decided that it's only fair to rank the seasons, considering we did that with the actual Survivor. May as well do it with our Brantsteele since there's so much
Yeah,
craziness that's happened.
there has been. I can honestly say I like each and every one.
Mhm.
There are some more than others, and I
Yeah,
know I'm biased because we're a part of these, and so I still have fun with each and every one of them, even
yeah,
like rewatching because I rewatched all of them in preparation for this. So
yeah.
yeah, um, our list kind of varied at a certain point. There are some
Mhm.
we agree are really good, and then there are some where it's like
There's some drastic.
drastic ones, like Joe's number one and what I place that as.
Yeah, yeah.
It gets a
um,
lot.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I will say we did agree for the most part on a good chunk of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll also say I think there's like a couple clear bottom tier one for me, and then there's a couple kind of like like okay, and then I think
yeah.
there's just bunch of great ones like that's how it really is hard for me honestly. I like the top like 16 and up because really they're all really good.
I know it's like just purely based on like opinion or like some of them might be based on the winner or some might be lower on the list. One of them is a little lower on the list on my end because of like maybe some technical stuff.
Mhm.
But like
Yeah,
I said, I enjoy each and every one of them. So I do have some opinions on a few things, but we'll get to them when we get to them.
yeah. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on all of them, especially a certain podcaster one. That's the one I'm really wanting to hear you rant about.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But let's start with the bottom. Uh,
Okay, do you want to alternate who introduces them?
yeah, we'll do that. Would you like me to go with this one or?
Sure. You can go with this.
All right. So at the very bottom of our list is the Survivor Hunger Games edition.
Mhm.
Now, I think it's a nice spin-off. It's not like Survivor, but I think it was a nice little thing to like explore because it was fun going through it.
Mhm.
Granted, it was a little chaotic, especially in the beginning, because 48 people to keep track of, even if they die.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of fun moments in there.
Mhm.
Dave is or David is just like
Yeah.
he is like the true like he's the true hero of that, just like begging for death and then being
Yeah.
spared, and he kind of came into his own.
Yeah. He started to get into a groove before he died. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say it's good that it's his own thing, but if you're especially if you're here to watch Survivor, this is definitely not the season for you.
No, there's not really that much strategy,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I said, I feel like it's a good, you know, like it's a fun little side thingy.
Mhm.
Like, and that's why I put it down at my 20th instead of my least favorite.
Mhm.
But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I did put it at my lowest.
Yeah.
Which so I mean we're not that too far off from that
No.
one. We know that it's the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be fun, but
Yeah,
alas,
yeah,
there are a lot more fun ones.
yeah. But we got another not so fun one to get through, and that is our first All Stars.
I feel with how it ended with Bill Burr winning and bless you.
Thank you.
And there was some like dramatic stuff that was going on, like you losing constantly and then our stuff. It's
Uh,
just there was not totally a lot of strategy that we were seeing. And
yeah,
especially up until that point, we were used to seeing like all this stuff. Granted, it was heroes versus villains, and I guess they didn't totally wanted to show everything with that specific simulation. I think what also made it a little worse, it was an all-star season too.
Yeah, it was our
where we were
first
like,
one.
this is our first one. So
Yeah.
it didn't live up to the hype.
What it looked like was what Survivor's always afraid of, is have all the all-stars come out there and basically just take a vacation, except for like a couple people who then kind of control the game.
Yeah. And another reason it's lower on my list, just before the pre-merge, I was eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
That does play a bit of a factor into it.
All of your bad seasons, I noticed, were at the bottom.
Well, haven't you noticed that? Well, I forgot where you put podcasters, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But it's like, well, if you also notice the times where my team eliminates me, they do terrible afterwards. If you notice, if I'm on their team, I get a lot of team immunities. But when I'm gone, they're screwed.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Very screwed. It is very, yeah. So I rewatched it and I'm like noticing it and seeing myself play after some time has passed. I'm like, huh. So getting rid of me is a bad thing. So yeah. And I guess another thing, a little salt in the wounds, was when we did check the alternate reality. Granted, Parvati doesn't end up in the end, but I would have gotten second place and Kelly Wentworth would have been the winner of that, which she eventually does.
She eventually does win.
But in my hearts of hearts, I know, we weren't really agreed. When you're like, oh, can we start over in the middle of it? Then we're like, you got to know something was up with it. It's a fun thing to watch, but strategy-wise, not too strong.
Yeah, if you're here to watch the strategic elements, like, it just wasn't being shown. It's like the Guatemala of our seasons. It's not showing us the strategy. You can like it for what it is, but you're just not going to see the strategy actually happening.
Yeah, and opinions on Guatemala. I don't think it's the worst season. It's just a season that, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. But enough with actual Survivor, fantasy Survivor. I still think All Stars 1 is a nice addition. It's just not, it is clearly not one of our better entries.
Yeah. Okay, and I had this one on my list at the 20th spot, so exactly where it is.
I've had it at 19th. So kind of close.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so next up, we have Celebrities 2. Now, Celebrities 2, I think it's an interesting one. It's just kind of like the eliminations that happened, because, we used the Philippines. It just kind of created a set of circumstances where we did get a decimation of the or whichever one was Matt Singed.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think it was Calabao.
Probably. Yeah. And then we lost a lot of good favorites in the beginning. And then reality TV just kind of took over, and then
of all of the ones from reality TV to win.
it was like decent to watch, and it's kind of funny where it's funny to watch because we're like, what the hell is going on? But like when you have Snooki as a winner, it just kind of like diminish the season a little bit.
Yeah. It was this season was plagued by having a bunch of minor things eventually all culminating into like bigger things, and then it just feels like it's just kind of been drenched down further than it really should have. Especially considering this is off the hype of our first Celebrity Survivor, which we'll get to that, but that one was much different.
Very much so. Mm-hmm. But I like Celebrities too. It invited some fun faces. It's just some of those faces didn't stick around for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I had a Celebrity Survivor 2 at 18.
So did I.
Nice.
But it's at 19.
Yeah, because
numbers are weird.
Okay. The next one that we have at number 18 is the Amazon one, the all-female season.
Which I found surprising in hindsight, but it's like there are so many great seasons. Some of them just, looking at others, it's like, wow, I couldn't justify putting over some others,
That's how I felt too. In fact, I kind of view it as what I feel like it could be our Vanuatu of our Survivor. Like it didn't come like it came out kind of recently. It's not that great like in our eyes, but over time I can see it like coming up the ladder. I just think it needs some more time to really bake.
Stew on it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good season. It's just like because a lot of cool stuff happened in it. We had Kim get her record for most people for most votes to a single person within a season, 25.
Yeah.
And then, we finally had Sari win after being on so many of our Brantsteeles in the past. It was like finally she got that well-deserved win.
Exactly.
And there was a lot of
Danny Boatwright, right? Wasn't she in this one?
She provides entertainment for our channel because I get nervous as fuck because I'm like, what if she actually does win? And
I think she could have if she didn't get idled out here. She gets idled out, and I think if she didn't, she has a good chance to make the end.
It's possible, but thankfully we avoided that. And I feel like I have more joy when things kind of go awry, or like joy watching, because then I'm like, no, and you're like, no, and the silences. This season definitely had some of those.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like there's just a lot more iconic ones.
Yeah, and this is just showing how strong a lot of our seasons are. Is that
exactly
this is a good season, but it's all the way down here at number 18 of 21.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I put it at 17. Just a nice number. It's just like I said, I enjoy all of these. It's just like the little things that might shove one a little bit more above another.
Yeah, I put it at 17 too, actually. So we have another one in the same spot.
The fuck? All right. So at the official number 17, we have Battle of the Podcasters. Now, I'm going to say this now. I put it at 21.
I know you do.
I feel like it's not just because I was eliminated early. That plays a factor into it. However, it just felt kind of short. And I guess, with 16 people, that tends to happen. It was just, I don't know, it wasn't as active as other Brantsteeles for me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what you're talking about, because that pre-merge is still my favorite pre-merge we've ever had on Brantsteele.
The rocks and stuff, I'm like, I don't know.
We got a tribal 1 rock draw, followed by a tribal 3 rock draw. Like, it was crazy. It was like, what is happening? It was chaos, and people were flipping left and right on each other. It was great.
It's a nice season. In fact, it would have been 20 on my list if it hadn't been for, I put kind of Hunger Games above it just because Hunger Games was kind of like a different thing. And I was like, oh, we should give it a little bit more props for that. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like Battle of the Podcasters, I felt it just didn't resonate with me as well as other seasons.
Interesting, because I really enjoyed it. I remember being like, damn, that was a good one. So even when we did it, because I put it at my number 12.
Wow, I really brought it down.
Yeah, you did. and even I thought I was going too low with this season.
I mean, in a way, it shows our unity because you put it at 12, I put it at 21. It's like reverse the numbers. So in a way, it's kind of similar.
Kinda, I guess.
But like I said, I don't really think it's a bad season. It's just one of my least favorites.
And you know, you're welcome to that opinion,
Yes.
even though
Yes.
it's wrong.
It may be. It may be.
Okay, well, let's get on to a season that I feel like everyone will expect me to put really high up on my lists, and that is Captain's Curse, the season which I am the winner.
Honestly, I Captain's Curse is a good one. It's just it came to the point. I feel like its downfall because the pre-merge in that was pretty good. TBH.
Mhm.
I feel like the downfall of that season was when we got to the merge. It was kind of like a pagonging, and then it was like a nose goes of eliminations.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, yeah. There wasn't. It was all unanimous votes in the merge. Like literally,
Yeah.
no not unanimous votes at that point, which is I think that's a Boston and Rob thing right there. I think he started it, and then I think I then kind of like took it over in the last couple of votes to take over. But
Which was smart. Which
yeah,
was definitely smart.
but yeah, it just if you're it's not exactly exciting entertainment to just
Yeah.
kind of see who who's going home now.
Exactly. I mean, there is another benefit that I think pushes it above a little bit more.
Mhm.
I feel it the fact that it's one of the ones we did together in person, the first one we did, the first video we did in person in almost like over a year,
Yeah.
I think it gives it another extra boost, you know?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that definitely probably raises an extra couple notches. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's definitely it just it kind of suffers from All Stars one dilemma where there's not too much strategy going on. We see a little more than All Stars one, but
Yeah.
it really is just kind of uh, don't make it. We don't want anyone to get upset, so let's all vote this one person off.
Yeah. And I mean, it did give us you as the winner, and it gave us, it helped me at the time get furthest than I ever gone, which
Mhm.
it boosted up not a whole bunch, but it boosted up a little in my opinion.
Mhm.
And us as the host, we finally got that like little celebration of one of us winning a Brantsteele.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest. Like when this, I swear I thought it was going to go off at that third.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tricky one, especially with people with the mutiny twist, which I think was a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
Because since we ran it on the Tocantins simulator, in actual Tocantins, we never really saw that, but in this one, we kind of saw the like craziness, which kind of started the decimation of my team.
Yeah, your
Which
team kept switching over.
I mean, I was guilty of that. I guess I saw that it was a sinking ship, and I'm like, okay, bye. I like winning. Peace. Noodles.
And it was the best move you could have made.
Yeah, yeah. And hey, uh,
Um,
got us there. I put it down at 15.
I put it at 15 too.
What this is like a pattern for a lot of ours where we rate it the same, but it's just like one below where
Yeah,
we had it at.
yeah, it's because we have some of the ones that are really low at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like some of us have put really high, and so there's like this slight shift to it.
Yeah, which I just find it funny going through this.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
All right. So next up, we got Second Chance at number 15. Second Chance was a fun one. It helped us introduce a lot of people we haven't utilized yet, which, we do use some of the same people over and over. We're fans. We want to see these people play. And yeah, sometimes we kind of like hold it back a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, oh, we want to see this person play. But like, Second Chance gave us to a time to like celebrate some low-key players that we haven't really discussed, or like, you know, some hidden gems maybe not all Survivor fans are like remembering, or some that don't get talked about enough, like Natalie Bolton. Like, she gets talked about, but she doesn't get as much credit as, you know, she should.
Yeah, she's definitely someone that needs to come back for if they do another second chance, because she was really great on Micronesia, and it'd be fun to see her come back. But yeah, no, this is definitely more of the hardcore Survivor season. Like, this is so, if you really are a hardcore Survivor fan, this is the season for you, because there's so many, you know, obscure Survivor players that were really great on their seasons that come back for this. The Sarge's alliance is one of my favorite alliances.
Yeah,
It was great.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did like how like Katie's win, like, you know, it was like a little low key, kind of like under the radar, because the second chance simulator is one of the hardest ones to get through, because there is so much switching around.
Yeah.
And I feel like Katie was another like winner I could get behind, where I was like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe not my front runner, but she was definitely one I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
She also won like 3 individual immunities. Like, she was on like a roll at some point. Like, she just kept
Definitely.
winning. I think it was at like the third one. I was like, oh my god, Katie might win if she makes it to the end. Like, that was the real kind of like, oh, they need to get rid of her if they want to beat her, and they never did. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this I enjoyed this season. I did put it though at my number 16.
I put second chance at number 12.
Number 12, that makes sense.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Moving on now to our number 14 season, and that is Heroes versus Villains.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So my problems, I guess, with this season is my selfishness and the fact that my team gets decimated.
No, I understand. I understand. But I mean, I had it at number 8, and I think one of the reasons is, one, the shoe was on the other foot.
Mhm.
2, no, I mean, it does happen every now and then.
It does, yeah.
But it's also like, it was an interesting, like, kind of like fanfic thing, where I feel kind of like what I was saying in the video. It's like, oh, what if season 40 was, you know, heroes versus villains, but with people from 21 and up? Who would we categorize? Because that's always like a fun theme. And, you know, this one did better than the original one we did with All Stars, because we used that format. And, you know, it gave us Bradley, who, you know, just kind of became more of like, oh, that's a person that kind of became more relevant on our channel, even if it was for that one video, because of that season.
Yeah.
It was also like, you know, sent a great message and reinforced our one video of heroes have the best chance of winning the game.
That is true. Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. I did like Dominic on the season. I think he has done really good every time he came out there. He's at least made the jury. Cass was pretty good on my side. I really like Zeke as a winner. Zeke is a good winner addition to it. But yeah, I kind of couldn't put it any higher than like a middle of the pack season for me.
No, I understand. Like, it was a little Pagangi for a little bit, but you know, I enjoyed it because, and I think it was nice. It was also an interesting little change of pace, because we had like a versus on different sides. You know, like, I like the aspect of like, oh, I choose all of one theme, and you choose all of another. And it was kind of like interesting, like us going about it that way, you know?
Yeah, it was definitely different in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it at number 19.
At which one?
Number 19.
19. Wow.
Yeah.
So I brought it up with my 8 by like, you know, 14 isn't, that's still like a lower tier, like in the
Yeah.
lower half. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I actually
you
think
know,
that by you doing that, I think it averaged out to where it actually should be, personally.
yeah, we just help each other out with this.
Yeah, to be honest, a lot of these I can definitely see like, yeah, that makes sense. Like the combined list, like, yeah, that's actually right. That's the biases aside, like that's right.
There's gonna, I mean, it's an opinion list. Of course, there's going to be some bias, like
Yeah.
as we see with podcasters.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So another one we have is at number 13 is Survivor Pre-Merge.
Mhm.
One of the ones where a lot of people talk about and a lot of people like to speculate because we don't really get to see a lot of these people. They're less likely to come back. People do come back from there and they can be great, like Michaela, who I enjoyed from Millennials versus Gen X.
Yeah, or
And
Kelly
then
Wentworth.
she was another one. Just imagine if everyone did not approve of like pre-merge and whatever, Kelly Wentworth might have not. Kelly Wentworth, we lost all that potential of, you know, her being one of the greatest like Survivor contestants, you know,
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know, because pre-merge, yeah, there are some crappy people that play and they kind of get out. But there's also a thing of like some people are targeted because they're too good. And then sometimes it's just like an unnecessary set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like pre-merge was a great way to celebrate some of these unsung heroes
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
that way.
you need great pre-merge boots to make the merge boots even better. And
Yeah.
I think that it's very important to celebrate these people as well. And bring them back. Bring them back, Survivor. Like they're not they'll come back, trust me.
Exactly. Exactly. It was like, please, I don't want, unless, you know, one of them is kind of like, well, if we consider like the 10th at the merge, you know how like sometimes it's like you make it to the merge, but you don't make it to a jury, that like one awkward boot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, that always bothers me. But like, you know, hopefully like none of these people get like Jeff Varnard and then like, you know, just eliminated and playing 3 times, never making jury, what have you. But
yeah, that's the worst thing you can do if you play Survivors, to come on 3 times and lose every time in the pre-merge.
yeah. Yeah, but you know, there was some good strategy. We got to see Reem win on a season where she actually was on a simulator, which didn't happen too often when we played these.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the first one where we used Edge, which was a nice little aspect. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was also Garrett. I remember I thought he was going to win the season for sure. He was
playing a pretty solid game.
He was pretty dominant.
I thought Ali was going to win up until that.
It was the fire making challenge between her and Garrett. I thought whoever won this wins the game, and that wasn't the case.
So heartbroken. Yeah. We didn't realize the real threat.
Yeah, no one noticed that it was Reem who got voted out in the third episode. Came back from the first Edge.
It's like psych.
Yep.
All right, so okay. I had that at number 10.
I had that at 14.
All right, I feel that's like a solid place to have it. Yeah. Unlucky 13.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's fitting because they were unlucky to be voted out pre-merge.
Yeah, that's true.
See, art, man, art imitating life, or the other way around. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's like
a
Mobius strip.
Okay. Moving on now to one of a season that I really enjoyed, and that is All Stars 2. This is, in my opinion, the one that you will have to sit down with like a bowl of popcorn and some drinks, because it's going to be about 3 hours until you're done with it.
Yeah, that one, it would have been a little higher on my list, but I feel like, I mean, once it gets going, it gets going. And there is a lot of humor in the whole relationship things that we don't see in our regular Brantsteeles where we
Mhm.
can see, oh, this person really hates that. It does add to the runtime, but like, if you enjoy it and you're along for the ride, it's a lot of fun to get through. And it's kind of like, it kind of takes the whole thing that I like about the Hunger Games thing we did, but amplifies it because one, it does have like a similar Survivor format, and two, it gives us kind of like, it gives us a little bit of a different game,
Mhm.
similar, but like, there's a lot of play around with it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know your tribe gets decimated again in this, but with that being said, your tribe is my favorite tribe, without a doubt. It's like the people that go into the merge are like they become almost iconic at that point. Like they went
Yeah,
through so much and had to play so hard just to make the
yeah,
merge. uh,
yeah. That was you were part of that. Peridium just being cray cray.
yeah,
Um,
Catherine
and then
Newton
how can
coming
we forget
back. Oh,
Tia and Catherine Newton coming back?
yeah.
It was kind of thing where if we're talking about underdog stories, my team was a true underdog story. Granted, the dogs didn't make it to the end,
Yeah,
but it was fun to watch nonetheless.
yeah, they were in there enough for the entertainment value to keep going, in my opinion, through the merge. Like Cassia goes out, it's third place, so she basically just misses out on the ends.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, this is also where Parvati gets second place again, makes it to the end. Uh,
Mhm.
and this is where I think it became really dominant. Like, oh my gosh, she's doing it. Um,
Yeah.
and I do really like Mike Bloom as a winner. I really do. I think he plays a great game.
It's a
Uh,
little hard to tell because it's kind of like whenever a team does really, really good, it's harder to like gauge, like their play in the beginning, especially since, except for like, Yvette Nicole Brown, no one really had any beef with anyone else on your tribe. It was kumbaya for the most part.
I had Nora said something and then got voted off.
Yeah, but I guess that happened so early on, but mine
Yeah,
was like so toxic.
yeah.
Like,
Uh,
Jesus. But
I,
it made for entertainment.
it was yeah that what I did try to do is try to take some of the biases off of it, and this is definitely one that I just think is I think it's really good. I think it is a solid. If you want to watch a long episode of our Brantsteele, this is the
Mhm.
one I would send you to.
Yeah. I put it at 16. The length does play a little bit of factor into it, but I still think it's good. Like I said, at a certain point, it just becomes the little things.
Uh-huh.
The little things.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you have it at?
Seventh. I put it at seventh.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I really enjoyed it. Uh, okay. You
All
got the
right.
next one.
Next one, at our halfway point, we have, which I think is kind of fitting, old school versus new school.
Yeah, that
Um,
is yeah.
see, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah,
Um,
we didn't even try to do this.
this was this is another theme I thought was pretty fun in the sense of like celebrating both kind of like walks of Survivor, because there are some people that are hardcore like old school, and then there are some people that are like, oh, new school is way better. You have people that appreciate all of it, but you do have people that favor one over the other. um, like I'm on this Facebook group where it's like, oh yeah, old school is so great, I don't like a lot of the new changes. And then you have people who are like, oh, Tony is such a brilliant player and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was nice to like have that like hash out and stuff. Also, it was the
Mhm.
first one where I had someone. No, was it? Yeah, it was the first. Colby won that, right?
Uh,
Or did he win Rivals?
old school versus new school.
Oh
That
no,
was
Hibiki won.
no old school versus new school was our second one. That was Christian Hibiki one.
Yeah, Hibiki
Yeah,
won that,
yeah.
which was also a fun winner. I don't know if I told you, but when my hair was long, I kind of looked like him a little bit. I was just like, all I had to do was just kind of like squint my eyes, put on some like glasses.
It's
You know, that
hilarious.
could be a Halloween costume or
Uh-huh.
a Survivor party costume, just Christian.
That's funny.
But it gave me some hope in these Brantsteeles with Zeke coming in so far,
Yeah.
and I feel like it was a nice celebration of Survivor throughout the years.
Yeah. No, this was definitely another fun one. I will say I'm definitely nostalgic for our first season of our Branch Steel. I kind of put them a little higher because I really did enjoy them for the most part. Besides All Stars 1. Uh, but those first few, I kind of put a little higher up because I really like them.
Oh, of course, nostalgia always plays like a key factor into things.
Yeah. So in that regard, I guess I'm an old school uh lover.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
Where did you have that one?
I had it at 13.
I had it at 10.
All right, so decent enough place to have it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next we got our Brain versus Brawn versus Beauty season, which is the great final showdown between Amanda Kimmel and Natalie White.
Yeah,
A one vote
iconic,
difference.
iconic. Like the ride through that, and the fact that Beauties ended up winning in the end. Like I think it was only Wendell that went home pre-merge from the Beauty tribe.
Yeah,
Uh, so it was kind of like it was kind of funny to see that. I mean, it was sad to see certain people go from like the Brain tribe and the Brawn tribe. And you know, that's the interesting thing when it comes to Brantsteeles. It's like when we have the emotion with people getting voted off, and so that's what made like the pre-merge so great. And then you know, so interesting to watch for you know the finale and everything merge.
yeah. After re-watching it, I kind of was just like, I'm surprised we didn't do a Brain vs. Brawn vs. Beauty too. Like it did feel like it could have gotten another sequel to it because I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think part of it was in our third one, and
Yeah,
fourth was or series four. I felt was kind of like our legacy season,
yeah.
or like yeah, our legacy season,
Hmm.
because a lot of the people in series four that won were a lot of the people that were in season one.
Yeah.
Every single winner, it was almost like a lifetime achievement award season.
It kind of was, except for Reed. Reed was the one person who kind of got a lifetime achievement award for being a first time player.
Which is why he was eliminated so early in Winners at
There's a
War.
war, yeah,
But
and All Stars
this,
4.
yeah, but to focus on Triple B, it was also nice to like you know kind of like see where would we put like all stars in a season like this, kind of like what I said in that video, and you know it was a lot of fun to go through. There was some great gameplay that happened. Uh, yeah,
Yeah. No, this was a really good one. I had it at my number 11.
it was at my also my number 11.
Look at that.
Yep,
We're back to that.
yep. Does that
It is
happen?
surprising, honestly, how we have so many that are similar.
I mean, I guess there are some where we just yeah.
Yeah.
Life is funny. That is funny. All right. Next up at number 9, we have Survivor Rivals, which I think was a really good one of our you know season one. I liked it because you know everyone loves a good rivalry, and it was also the first one where both you and I appeared for which we just kind of like opened the door for that. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
Joe and Ryan.
Yeah, this is also the one that I am notoriously voted off right away.
I'm sorry, but you redeemed yourself for winning a season, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And it was fun going through this season, kind of like seeing how you know a little bit of the theater of the mind of like, oh, how would these people like play if they were like there, and like the alliances that kind of came up with like both like Philip and Francesca. By the way, Francesca, you know, being
Iconic.
so iconic on our channel, uh, you know, that happening. There was a lot of good stuff, and it was also the first time I won one of these Brantsteels, which
That's true.
it's gonna hold a little special place in my heart as a result.
Yeah, yeah. This definitely does earn for me brownie points for that Francesca Idol shenanigans that gets Abby voted out. Like that was
Yeah,
it's
that was
crazy.
so that was so fucked.
Yeah.
But
Like that's still if we ranked like a top 10 moves, that's in top 3 right there. Like
if
that's
if we're talking about dumbest moves, that might it's that's like number 2 or number 1, depending on the how you place the Danny Boatwright thing.
Danny vote right
But
because I do see some merit in what she did.
true, there is there is merit.
Uh,
However, it's kind of like the whole JT argument,
uh-huh.
whether or not he is actually a good player or he got lucky the first time around. Where if it works, it's great. But if you have a lot of misses as opposed to like one really good one, kind of tarnishes.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like that was JT's downfall.
Yeah.
Which, but did we ever have JT in one of our Brantsteels?
We never did.
Wow. Wow. I
He
know
got skipped.
there were a few where you're like, oh man, we've never used this person.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we didn't use Boston Rob until season 4 or Sandra.
Exactly. Exactly. I guess JT just kind of drew the short straw on that one.
Yeah. Right?
You know, that format is always interesting because someone can come back, and
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it kind of added to it, to like the suspense, and like even though it kind of cost us a
Mm-hmm.
small price to pay for awesomeness
I
of a
wouldn't say a
season.
small price.
You eventually win a season and make it second place at our Winners at War.
yeah, but
I think it helped.
I'm taking this as if that hasn't happened yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I put this at number 5 on my list.
uh, I put it at number 13.
But kind of like you said, I feel that's a good like even spot for it.
Yeah, yeah, it evens out to where I think it should be.
Yeah.
um, okay. Next up, we have our last season we just did, our culmination of our entire Brantsteele Survivor, and that is our Winners at War season.
Oh yeah. Definitely brutal. It was interesting how everything started out. It was sad to see some of these like winners go home early, like the Bill Burr elimination.
Yeah.
That was rough. And
Yeah,
yeah,
Catherine
it was
Newton going home. She makes jury at least.
yeah, that was after everything, like Um, but we got to see some faces we haven't seen in a while, which was also a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to use a format which we weren't really. I think, yeah, Cook Islands was only the oldest simulator we've used.
Yeah, yeah. It also it worked out perfectly. Like I didn't plan for us to have 5 seasons per or 5 episodes per season kind of thing, and then
Yeah,
end at 4. And then when I was like looking through, I was like, wow, that would actually be a really good idea to actually have like kind of a battle of the seasons in that regard. Um,
yeah, and
and I think it was a very interesting and entertaining for its own rights. Uh,
definitely.
I'm a little biased also. I made it to the end.
No, like the ending was cool. It was Parvati, cementing herself as the best player ever.
She was already there, and now she's like went up another step. So now someone has to go 2 steps to get to her.
It's like dipped in gold. It's like
yeah,
there was just no. Like, it was great. It was great seeing you near the end. It was great seeing Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like, we had a great finale, like
yeah.
up until the ending. And Snooki's elimination, just right before it. So we all had that like collective sigh of relief.
Yeah, she still makes jury though.
She doesn't.
Yeah, she does.
She doesn't.
You can go look right now. I will bet you $1,000 that she makes jury.
I don't have $1,000.
I'll bet you $1.
She went off 12 because it started on.
I know. I looked at this already. She made jury.
Catherine Newton was first.
She was the second jury member.
We'll look this up.
I will show you. If you want to keep talking, I will bring it up for you.
All right. Because I thought, because it was an 8-person jury, and it started with the whole final tribal with right before the merge, with Catherine Newton and Kelly Wentworth both being
right there, jury.
Well, fuck.
Yep. So yeah,
all right.
she does technically make it. Unfortunately.
Yeah. But that was a fear I know you had going into it. Her coming in.
I mean, as long as she didn't make like a deep run, I was happy with that.
Yeah.
Like, going off right there was like whatever. But yeah, no. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff. Both people who found the idols ended up making it to the end.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan and me. I found it in kind of a weird way. Like I had it because like production gave it to me, but then I found it on Exile the next time.
It was like I kind of like snuck on the island. I was like, Joe, the idols out there.
And I needed it to make it to the end. Otherwise, Braun Strowman makes it to the end, and I probably lose.
Yeah.
And Braun probably wins, honestly. Braun could have won that season if I didn't play the idol against him.
I mean, low-key, I think another thing that makes Winner at War this one, which makes... I'm glad Parvati won in this sense, because we do have like an actual Survivor contestant winning. Not to knock any of the non-Survivor players we brought on. Mm-hmm. It was just like, I feel fitting. And also the whole mirror thing of like the first winner is also the last winner of Series 1.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of poeticness to it.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. I also think that this has made Braun Strowman kind of more of an iconic player in our Brantsteele. He's played 4 times and he's made it deep every time. One of them being a win.
Very, very solid player.
And yeah, if you're definitely wanting an immunity beast, he's the person. He wins immunities every time.
Oh yeah, he's a tough cookie. Yeah, and I was glad
Francesca losing at Fire against Parvati, like that was.
I feel like out of the Survivor contestants, Francesca is definitely kind of like up there with our top 5 people. Parvati is definitely one. I feel Suri is another. Francesca, she's always been like a consistent part of our channel, and to her to finally make it so far, and just that's what made that impact a little devastating, was she's come a long way, and then she comes along a long way one last time, and alas.
Yeah. What's interesting, I was thinking the other day, what would our Mount Rushmore of Survivor players be? And I feel like they're all female. Like I feel like the women are way more iconic. Like they perform consistently better than the guys. Like the guys will have a good in one-off performance, but they have trouble kind of repeating.
I feel Yeah, I mean, like consistency wise, if we look at Francesca, granted, Francesca had an off season.
Mhm.
I feel Jeffrey Dean Morgan also had an off season.
Yeah,
Uh,
but at least
Cat,
Jeffrey Dean Morgan still makes the merge, or
well,
I mean, I don't know if the merge, the jury of All
yeah,
Stars 1.
I mean, no, there's like, I definitely think, and we'll definitely talk about this when we rate our like, best Survivor Brantsteele contestants. And I think that's another thing. We have so many great people in this season. I think we have pretty much everyone on that Mount Rushmore in this season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people who who deserve that echelon have won at some point. Um, Catherine Newton was probably the last one. Like if if she didn't win All Stars 4, she would have still been there, but she would have been the one person to not be the winner.
She would be like, because people say Sari belongs on like the Mount Rushmore Survivor players, which I think that is a very compelling argument.
Mhm.
I've It's so hard to just put it down to four people in
Yeah.
like Survivor, but like Catherine Newton would have been like the Sari topic of our
Mhm.
Brantsteele verse, like
Mhm.
the best person that has never won in that
Mhm.
alternate timeline.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I guess Jeffrey Dean Morgan would probably be someone that could be potentially there. I think Braun Strowman has a case for Mount Rushmore now. So like, there's a couple guys, but I just think the females are just they make such a better case.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So at Winners at War for me, I had it at seventh.
Um, I had Winners at War at 9.
All right. I think it's a respectable place for it.
Yeah, it went from 7, 9, right in the middle to 8.
Yeah. Math.
Yeah.
All right. So our next one at number 7 for me was our first ever Brantsteele. Now, I got to say, this was actually kind of lower on my list.
Yeah, I know it was.
It it was it was number 14 on the list for me.
Yeah, well, I decided that I enjoyed so much from when we first did it that I thought that it was good enough to make it number 1. It is my favorite season we have ever done. Um,
Let
and
me.
go ahead, go ahead. I think it's a great season, not just nostalgia wise too. So
It
go
is
ahead.
a great season, nostalgia wise, and a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm about to drop some like Itachi level reveals and stuff because I know, because when I made the list and everything, I was like, Joe's not going to be happy that it's so low down. The part of the reason it's not even having to do with like my side getting eliminated or anything like that, because definitely like in hindsight, I'm used to it. In fact, it makes a lot of our videos more fun.
Yeah, so
It's
some of our
just like,
best ones are the ones where you freak out.
yes, it's mostly a production thing on my part
Oh yeah.
because admittedly my shitty hosting back then, I was watching it, I'm like, Ryan, you're better than this. Like I think for me that's one of the things that kind of like brought down the season, because like season 9 or season 39 on our like day after podcast stuff, like I was still getting the groove of things.
Mm-hmm.
um it was like residual stuff from that. Um, and I feel like there was a lot of great things about this season. This was just one of the things where it just lowered it a little bit. Like it was my hosting capabilities, and I was like, damn it, Ryan.
I think your hosting capabilities are fine. I think you need to not be so harsh on yourself. I
And I
think
mean, I look at that, and then I look at like other ones where I'm like, I think maybe because it was all new to me, I was a little nervous and all that, like watching it. I'm like, because I've seen myself be a lot more into these Brantsteeles, and then when I see that, I'm like, eh, you know. I still think it's a fantastic season. And it's fun to watch, but it's kind of like watching a very old performance of yourself. And I'm like, Ryan, why did you do that?
yeah, I just think that there's so many great characters who have great storylines through it. Like almost everyone has a story arc
Yeah.
somewhere in it. And obviously the final three being Parvati, Kelly Whitworth, and Manna Kimball, and it being a 4-3 vote.
No, the finale was awesome. It was nice. Even though, a lot of my favorites went home early, it was still nice seeing Tommy make it so far, especially since he was like a recent winner. And I was like, on the Tommy train, because
Yeah.
not everyone is on the Tommy train.
Yeah, I'm not on the Tommy train, but I liked him. I've liked him on our Brantsteele. He's come twice and he's made it super far both times.
Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't bring him back again for like.
I know. I for some reason I thought you brought him back recently, but you haven't. I was like, oh.
I felt like I could have in Last Chance, but I don't know. Sometimes I think it's kind of like a Tyson thing or like a Spencer thing. Sometimes I'm cautious of bringing back someone too many times because like I don't want to like overdo it.
Yeah.
I mean, we do anyway. It's weird what we make excuses for.
Yeah. But yeah, no. This season also has Rick Devens, who gets brought along by that OG villainous tribe there. Like they like he just follows them, and it's really interesting to see just kind of them controlling what he does. Monica Culpepper freaking out in the pre-merge was hilarious.
Yeah. The Tommy and Mommy alliance, and then like kind of like how there was like a family tree on my team. Got Tommy and Mommy.
Yeah, and Spencer
and Lex.
Yeah. Spencer found his parents, his long lost parents, out on Survivor.
Exactly. You never know what you're gonna find on an island.
Yeah, and Richard Hatch gets voted out second because they lose the fishing gear reward, and he can't fish now, so he can't provide. So he goes home. Like there's so many just like great things that we just couldn't have written, and like it just worked out perfectly. So for me, I definitely really value what we did with this one, and this one was 2 hours. Like it was one of our kind of longer ones too.
Yeah,
probably because we were learning everything and we were kind of taking the time to really dissect.
Exactly. Like I said, it's still a great season. I wasn't so self-conscious. It might have been a little higher.
Yeah. Should have been. It's great.
I'm sorry. All right.
Okay. Is it me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Then number 6 one is Last Chance. Another great season. This was the one where Francesca gets her due. she finally does it.
Very, very well deserved on her part. And that one was interesting because we got to see kind of like similar to Winners at War, people that have been kind of like sprinkled throughout our Brantsteele history. Like, we saw Kenny for the first time in forever. We saw Tim S. Grover, who was kind of like forgotten about, even though I was like, Tim S. Grover.
He makes it pretty far.
Yeah, he still didn't do great in the sense of like gameplay wise, but it was nice like seeing people from all these different timelines of our Brantsteele come together, and so many people played a stellar game during this.
Yeah, I know this was definitely a really interesting one. It was nice to kind of, and it set up All Stars 4 and Winners at War, in my opinion, for great success, because it really kind of it was the start of the culmination of our seasons, and it really kind of elevated those two, in my opinion.
I agree. And I feel like a lot of good favorites did pretty well during that. Rob C. Did a stellar job. Kellen, who just kind of became like an overnight sensation in a way, where she was just like, yeah, Amazon, Last Chance. Oh, she did very well in Last Chance. All Stars 4.
Back to back seasons.
Triple. And yeah, getting to see Russell play again, it was a nice celebration of our Brantsteeles before, like, and I feel like kind of like what you said, the last three was the culmination of everything,
Mhm.
and that was just the beginning of it all, and a very strong beginning nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, this was really fun. Rob Cesternino just needed to play on Ghost Side or fucking whatever the Island of the Idols. That's what we used for this one.
Yeah,
We were on the season 2, remember?
exactly, exactly. As the host, we're even like mini hosts within it, and that's another thing that brings that whole thing up was using like a different Brantsteele simulator. I mean, we do keep some of the same ones, and
Mhm.
that's because they're such great simulators to go, and there's so many twists and
Yeah,
turns. And so it was great timing for Island of the Idols to be like, hey, here we go, let's use
yeah,
this one, and using that twist, which made it interesting because people were able to lose votes,
yeah,
which led to a
exactly.
lot of tomfoolery.
Yeah, it was really interesting because literally I they just made it like that day when I was going to make the simulator, so I was just like, oh, perfect. I guess
Why
I'll use
not?
this.
Why not?
So yeah, because there really is like a handful of good ones, and there's a bunch of bad ones out there. So yeah, I try to do the good ones because we want good seasons.
Of course.
So I try my best for that.
And
Uh,
I definitely think Island of the Idols was a great like format of Survivor. In actual Survivor, it is still a great format, despite it kind of like I'm not talking about the players, but the premise and how it was like layered
mhm,
is pretty solid. Like modern like seasons, like
mhm,
it's still like a pretty solid idea, and then introducing idols, things like that,
mhm.
as well as like different like twists within the games and the
Yeah,
dynamics.
yeah.
It's just the unfortunate Dan incident, just
Kind of
big dark cloud
lives.
over
Yeah,
Island of the Idols.
yeah, yeah. That's It's unfortunate that that season's kind of now going to get ranked pretty low on Survivor seasons because of that moment, and because
Yeah,
of that player. But sometimes that just kind of happens. I feel bad for Tommy and all the other cast because I wonder if they're even gonna some of them are gonna come back because
I feel
it,
they, I feel they should, like, I feel they should,
uh,
because it's like it's part of Survivor history. We can't just like totally forget about it. And I feel like, especially since a lot of the people they bring back are from more recent seasons,
mhm,
usually they have people from the past like 5 years with other people kind of like sprinkled in that are older.
yeah.
And season 39 gave us so many people like Janet, like Dean, like Tommy, Lauren. Like I can name off that. I can keep going with that list. Obviously, not forever because we don't want to reach Dan, or
Yeah,
the yeah,
yeah. I mean, I did enjoy it if you can look past that one big thing.
yeah.
It's just it is hard. I can definitely see it being very hard to look past that.
No, I
Uh,
get you.
yeah. I had last chance at 6, by the way.
Same. So this is the pure thing we all agree on.
Yeah, apparently, and it's right at number 6, so that works out perfectly.
Yeah. All right. So at number 5, we're in the top 5, guys.
Mhm,
Burgers and fries. So at this one, we have fans versus favorites. This was a good one because
mhm,
it in a way it has layers of it, because not only did we have survivor contestants and celebrities, but we also had us, and it kind of was like there was so many like different layers just like from the straight up cast, and it introduced us to the iconic Sia, who was
mhm.
on that season, who just
Just
kind of
the pure
became,
villain.
which was funny because she also was getting a lot of shit in real life for some of the stuff she's doing with the
Mhm,
one film. So it's kind of like a Brantsteele telling us about the controversy or whatever.
mhm.
But that. the whole tallying up votes between her and Natalie Bolton. Yeah, there was just so many things. The Jenna Fisher elimination.
Yeah, that was brutal.
One of my many over the top ones, but that one was like, no.
Yeah, well, this had so many back to back to back to back brutal eliminations right before the merge, because we have Tony Vlachos go out, we have Jenna
Yep.
Fisher then go out, we then have me go out, we then have you go out.
I go out at that awkward purgatory elimination where it's like, oh, you make the merge, but you don't make the jury.
Yeah.
It's evil.
Yeah, and like even though that all that happens, I don't look at it as a worse season for it. I look at it as a great kind of like sequence of events that happen.
Because there's so many like gems on that season, like Yvette Nicole Brown, like playing a really stellar game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like another great thing was like the switch it had, because kind of like similar to the old fans versus favorites. At one point, the fans were outnumbering the favorites, and that was starting to be like an interesting little dynamic. But the favorites kind of like flipped it on the fans, and it was like, nah, you guys are gone now. Even though the tribe swap gave us the fans a 4-3 advantage, there was just something that always crushed us.
Yeah, this is why favorites always win. Like once he gets the merge, the fans just don't know how to. They just go crazy at that point and start eating each other.
The fools.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this was. I really enjoyed the season. I think it was definitely it's one of my favorites. I put it at my number 2 spots.
For me, it was at number 9, which it's like I said, it might be little things. That's just kind of like where it landed on mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's still like it was a fun season to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's good, and even though that 2 and 9 are different, yet again, so many great seasons. Like there's just so many great ones.
It's tricky, but still made the top 5, which is I feel like a great place for it.
Yes. Okay, let's now talk about another All-Star season. We have All-Stars 3. This one's really good. This one's another great All-Star season. Got Braun Strowman as the winner of it. In my opinion, he plays a Jeremy Collins game this season. He is a very physical guy, but he holds that back until basically halfway through. Yeah, until he needs it. And then starts winning it to make sure that, I still have these immunity wins to prove I was the physical player.
Yeah, and that was like a smart strategy. And this one definitely has a lot of that smart strategy we we're talking about. Because not only, Braun, he kind of like encompassed everything. He had kind of a big social game. He had, the physical threat. He's probably a best all-around player when it comes to that. And that's what gave him the win. And this one was a tricky one to win, too, because Catherine Newton was also playing her heart out. Who else was on that? Reem was also playing their heart out.
Yeah, Reem almost is our first 2-time winner.
Exactly.
Like it's a 4-4-2 tie, I believe. And
I think Sia got 2. Yeah.
And then she votes for Braun at the end to win it. So literally, it was so close to Reem winning.
I know, and I think that's one of the things that made that season. It was like the suspense of like who's going to win it, because it got to the point where it was like so many people were making a strong case for the end.
Yeah. No, this was it was crazy. This was the first All-Stars one that really was like, oh my gosh, this needed to happen.
That's why for the longest time it was the number 1. Gosh, what else was great about it? Which simulator did we use again for that?
I'm not sure, actually. A lot of the All-Stars one, I'm not really sure, because I don't have like a theme I'm going for.
Was it Game Changers? Feels like it.
It might have been. Then I can check maybe. Oh no, it's Cambodia.
Cambodia,
Yeah,
also a solid one.
yeah,
Because they have that little split near the beginning, and so that's what kind of trips it up. But yeah, fantastic season. A lot of great stakes, and yeah,
yeah. It's definitely would recommend one. Uh,
definitely.
I put it at my number 8 spots.
I had that one at number 4.
Number 4, nice, nice.
Yeah. All right. So number 3, we have the one, not the only, Celebrities One. This was cool because it introduced us to the whole concept of inviting other people into the Brantsteele, because Rivals was like after that, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. This is
and
our third season.
yeah, and it was fun to be like, let's, we got to see kind of like, oh, a bit of more of our personalities as well, because we got to bring people who we enjoyed to the mix. Like, you definitely saw Joe's, like a lot of wrestlers, stuff like that. You saw me, just a bunch of actors and
Yeah.
blonde people.
Hey, you got Catherine Newton out of it, so
Yes. Her, we got Negan, we got Adam Driver, and I think that's another thing that really boosted it up for me, was seeing my 3 make it that far.
yeah.
Taylor Swift kind of like, 16th or 15th, went away, but still, um, it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Bill Burr, Tina Fey. There's so many like great people on here, and if it wasn't for them just like being restricted to like all-star seasons, we probably would have seen more of this cast. I
Exactly.
feel like.
I consider this like the Cagayan of our Brantsteele. Like it's just there's so much great characters and great craziness and gameplay that happens.
Yeah.
Like we get both of them. Like a lot of the seasons, like we either have great characters or we have great gameplay. This one we really get both of them mixed very well. There's and yet again, this is also one I think like 18 of the 20 people have great storylines throughout it.
Oh yeah.
Like Viola Davis, we built her up so much going into it.
Legit.
And then she gets voted out first. The same with Danny DeVito. Like we really wanted Danny DeVito to do so good, goes out second. Kate Upton was having a mass like breakdown after breakdown until she gets out third. The Melissas go out back to back. Melissa McBride and Melissa McCarthy. Bill Nye is one of the most entertaining pre-merge we've had, and like you can just kind of keep going through just so many different people, and it's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and us being entertainers and hoping to be celebrities to some degree, make some noticeable things in this world, beyond just like this podcast. It's also like, oh yeah, these peeps one day. Yeah. So yeah, I have this at number 3.
I have it number 5.
Yeah. It's a good place. Undoubtedly one of our best seasons.
Definitely. Okay, next up we got our next season, number 2 overall, All's Fair in Love and War.
Yeah. We're filming this a couple days before Valentine's Day. And, it's great because from that season, it has one of the best simulators, which is, the season 27.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike what we got with Survival Rivals, we got to see people swapping in for each other. And not just like once or twice, but it was a constant thing that was happening, giving us my favorite moment, the Figgy swap.
Yeah, that's number 1 overall, without a doubt.
Yeah, that was bonkers. And then, like it was the first time we um introduced some of these people like outside of other than like, because it was the first time we had Rupert in a non-Hunger Games one,
Yeah.
and he did pretty well.
Yeah. Taylor
This
is the same. He first
what?
time. Oh, Taylor Lee Stalker. That's the first time he comes in and does great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, this was also on the coattails of the Boston Rob hype that we started picking up.
Mm-hmm.
He did pretty good this season. So did Amber, and I feel like it was a nice little celebration of love and Survivor peeps. It gave us, a nice little out of left field winner. Reed, who I feel like is someone not a lot of Survivor fans talk about, just like on occasion,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because San Juan, I feel, doesn't always get a lot of praise, except for like Natalie and Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get a lot of the love from that season, but there are still some pretty good hidden, or I wouldn't say Reed is a hidden gem because he becomes pretty outspoken once it's not like all about the one tribe getting voted off.
Yeah.
Um, but he gave us one of the best speeches at a final tribal.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool seeing him win. It was cool seeing Tyson go so far, and
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of good storylines through this.
Yeah. I think I would have put it number one if Figgy wins.
Yeah,
I do make it slightly lower. It loses a couple notches.
the winner matters sometimes,
It
and that's
does.
fair.
Figgy played such a great game, and to see her not make it, like win
especially
it.
since she made it to the end.
Yeah, if she went out fourth, I wouldn't have cared. I probably would have been like, whatever. But the fact that she makes it to the end, gets 0 votes when she played her game, it's like, what happened?
What did happen? But
Yeah.
it was nice to see her finally make it to the end for once.
Yeah, the only time that she can make it any far
She
at
was
all.
cursed,
Yeah.
which also speaks because I think what makes it so high, other than just the gameplay, was the whole switch. Because up until this point, she has never made it to the merge. She was guaranteed a spot in the merge, but because of love, she decided to swap,
Yeah.
and then boom.
Yeah. And she was facing off against Monica, who also was in the same boat. She never made the merge.
So like such high stakes for that.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, that it was the best moment of our Brantsteele by far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it was at number 2.
For me, it was number 3.
Is that solid season?
Yeah.
All right. Now at number 1, I feel like it definitely is. It is number 1 on my list.
Uh-huh.
We have All Stars 4. It's an amazing season.
Great.
And admittedly, me being in there helps it because it raised the stakes so much. You had so many strong emotions there. We were both rooting for, like, Catherine Newton and, me. But there was also this thing of, like, Danny Boatwright, which I don't hate her as a human being at all. It's just I think she is overhyped and not a worthy winner.
I don't think she's hyped enough. I think people will ignore her.
I think she's overhyped for being underhyped.
What?
Like, how people are like, oh yeah, this person doesn't get enough love, but so many people are like, oh, this doesn't get enough love, and then it becomes kind of popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the thing that happens with Danny Boatwright. It's like she doesn't get it. People are like, oh, she never gets enough credit. But so many people are saying that where it kind of like you're giving her too much. Like,
she's a great player. She played a great game this season.
She did very well in both of the Brantsteele she was in. And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have gotten our most dramatic moment. Like if the Figgy thing was our best moment, our most dramatic moment was me threatening to jump out the window if she won.
Yeah,
We were there.
I would have been. Would you have actually done it?
I jumping out the window, no, I probably would have given you a heart attack because I can, I have the upper body strength and I'm scrawny enough where I can like hang out of it because I was
Uh-huh.
able to do that even like when I wasn't physically fit.
Uh-huh.
Like I did that in my old dorm building because there was this big ass window, and
Mhm.
to freak people out, I would just start climbing out of it, holding onto the ledge. Um, so I could have done that in theory, but it also led to her elimination, the whole giving individual immunity, which never happened in our Brantsteele
Yeah.
simulators. Um, uh, it never occurred to me that that was something it could do
I
because
know.
I
I've
just
never
didn't.
seen it.
I
I
know,
wonder if they just added that because I swear I've done quite a bit of these. That's never happened.
I know. And so that the fact the gameplay threw it out, it uses David versus Goliath, which is another great simulator format.
Mhm.
Um, and you had there were the stakes were risen, and it introduced us to the emotional support stuffed animals.
Mhm.
You know, whether that's going to be a staple of our channel, we'll see. But I feel like it was a fun thing to do.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a great season in my opinion. It was great to finally see Catherine Newton be in every single All Stars and finally get her due. It was
Yes,
needed. Like she makes it so far every season, and it's just like she needed it.
exactly. Um, which, if we're talking Mount Rushmore, there's a huge argument for Catherine Newton to be on there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
I consider my first two is Parvati Shallow and Catherine Newton. Those are the top two.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, just all of that stuff led to so many dramatic stuff. The gameplay in there was great. Some misplays, like with the brochachos, like the me misplaying the whole steal a vote thing.
Mhm.
Like who knows how that could have affected if I held on to it for a bit longer. Um, yeah, there was just so many cool like little twists and turns, which was given to us with the format of this season,
Mhm.
and then it just all came together so swimmingly. Like if we're talking about how, which one did we say? We how Last Chance had everything. Was it Last Chance or fans versus favorites, where like it all was like a culmination of everything?
It was Last Chance.
Yeah, where Last Chance, where everything we had the cast, we had the gameplay and everything. This one has that, and I feel it's the ultimate one.
Mhm.
That's why I put it at number one.
Yeah. Going into it, I was saying like this has it almost feels like we're already getting ready for Winners at War, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we still have All Stars 4, and it was like it heard me and was like, hey, we're gonna be even bigger than you could ever want, and made an amazing season out of it. So,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
And there was a lot of surprises too. Uh, we did have our first time we were saying what our cast would be. Granted, it was like like there were some surprises thrown in there.
mhm.
My official like randomized proposal was also in there.
Yeah.
It was funny where it was rejected because I think throughout this entire thing where Catherine Newton and I played together, yeah, we've been on a couple alliances, but it seemed very one sided.
Yeah. Yeah. uh,
Um,
I will say I'm glad you make it far of the season.
yes,
I
yeah,
am glad. You needed to at least make the finale, in my opinion.
yeah.
You had to do it.
And it was a good spot. It was a tough one, but it was a lot of fun to watch. Everything that happened in there was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was good. as I said, I think a lot of these seasons were really great.
Yeah.
This was definitely a hard list to make.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, it was like, it was a mixture of watching them and I'm like, all right, how do I feel in the moment for the list I have?
mhm,
And then sometimes I was like, oh, but I feel like this one should be a little higher. Because like the process of like the little things, because it's different like watching the seasons of Survivor. It's also
mhm,
because we also had a hand in making these. And so there are
yeah,
some little like aspects of it where like, you know, because we did add that personal touch to each season where it's like they're all our babies. So putting them low, some of them like low on the list, kind of like Amazon, where it was a
mhm.
great season, just this. I was like, oh man, it's so low, but at the same time, I get it, but it's also one of our babies.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's low, but it was hard to justify it any higher, really. For
Yeah,
me, it was like that's kind of where it has to land right now. Maybe I'll think differently later, but right now,
yeah,
um, oh, by the way, All Stars 4 for me was at number 4. I don't know if I said that already.
probably not. Um, but yeah, um, I think we, for the most part, except for the very first one, we kind
Mhm.
of like agreed on the top five.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
Yeah,
and for the most part, we agreed on the bottom 5 for the most parts.
pretty much. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
everything.
Yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the Day After Podcasts.
All right, guys. Well, I'm not sure when this is being posted, but I hope you had a great Valentine's Day, whether you were single, with someone, or multiple peoples, being with the bro chachos or
Mhm.
the cis chachos. Is that a thing? I don't know.
In Rochachets.
Bro chachettes. That even sounds better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and we'll see you in the next one.
Have a good one, guys. Peace out.
Peace.